The Princess Bride, Act 1. Our performers are Kathy Correnti, Ian Garlinghouse, Joe Correnti, Olivia Meek, Melissa Meek, Steve Duggins, Cynthia Kelly, Liz Kelly, Zachary Douglas, Mandy Carr, and, oh, Sam, I'm going to butcher your name. I'm sorry. Weidenbenner? Oh, I know I killed it. I don't know.
It probably should be Weidenbenner,
Hey!
but it's Weidenbenner.
I didn't see you come on.
Hi.
Was Steve there? I didn't see him.
I'm going to finish the pizza and then I'll get into it. I'm not in the beginning.
It's all good. All right. Here we go. Scene, boy's bedroom. Grandson is on the bed playing a video game.
Hi, honey.
Hi, Mom.
You feeling any better?
A little bit.
Guess what?
What?
Your grandfather's here.
Can't you tell him I'm sick?
You're sick. That's why he's here.
He'll pinch my cheek. I hate that.
Maybe he won't.
Hey, how's the sickie?
I think I'll leave you two pals alone.
I brought you a special present.
What is it?
Open it up.
A book?
That's right. When I was your age, television was called books. And this is a special book. It was the book my father used to read to me when I was sick, and I used to read it to your father, and today I'm gonna read it to you.
Does it got any sports in it?
Does it got any sports in it? Are you kidding? Fencing, fighting, torture, revenge, giants, monsters, chases, escapes, true love, miracles.
Doesn't sound too bad. I'll try and stay awake.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Very nice of you. Your vote of confidence is overwhelming. All right. The Princess Bride by S. Morgenstern. Chapter 1. Buttercup was raised on a small farm in the country of Florida. Her favorite pastimes were riding her horse, tormenting the farm boy that worked there. His name was Wesley, but she never called him that. Isn't that a wonderful beginning?
Yeah, it's really good.
Nothing gave Buttercup as much pleasure as ordering Wesley around.
Mom, boy, how's my horse and saddle on the sun will be shining in it by morning?
As you wish.
As you wish was all he ever said to her.
Mom, boy, fill these with water, please.
As you wish.
That day, she was amazed to discover that when he was saying, as you wish, what he meant to say was, I love you. And even more amazing was the day she realized she truly loved him back.
Mom, boy, fetch me that picture.
As you wish. It's really nice.
Buttercup smiles, and they kiss as they watch the sunset.
Hold it, hold it. What is this? Are you trying to trick me? Where's the sports? Is this a kissing book?
Wait, just wait.
Well, when does it get good?
Keep your shirt on, let me read. Wesley had no money for marriage, so he packed a few belongings and left the farm to seek his fortune across the sea.
I don't believe this.
Buttercup.
I fear I'll never see you again.
Of course you will.
But what if something happens to you?
Hear this now. I will always come for you.
But how can you be sure?
This is true love. You think this happens every day?
Wesley didn't reach his destination. His ship was attacked by the dread pirate Roberts, who never left captives alive. When Buttercup got news that Wesley was murdered,
Murdered by pirates is good.
she went into her room and shut the door, and for days she never slept nor ate.
I will never love again.
Music, music.
Townspeople in the main square frolic to the music as Prince Humperdinck approaches to address them from the balcony.
5 years later, the main square of Florence City was filled as never before to hear the announcement of the great Prince Humperdinck's bride-to-be. Yeah.
My people, a month from now, our country will have its 500th anniversary. On that sundown, I shall marry a lady who was once a commoner like yourselves. But perhaps you will not find her common now. Would you like to meet her?
Yes!
My people, the Princess Buttercup.
Buttercup enters wearing her crown and gown. All of the townspeople slowly bow to Princess Buttercup.
Buttercup's emptiness consumed her. Although the law of the land gave Humperdinck the right to choose his bride, she did not love him. Despite Humperdinck's assurances that she would grow to love him, the only joy she found was in her daily ride.
Buttercup is riding a horse when suddenly 3 men appear on a lane alongside the river and stop Buttercup.
A word, my lady. We are but poor, lost circus performers. Is there a village nearby?
There is nothing nearby, not for miles.
Then there will be no one to hear you scream.
Fezzik grabs her, unconscious. Both sides, the 3 men are preparing to leave.
What is that you're ripping?
It's fabric from the uniform of an army officer of Gilder.
Who's Gilder?
The country across the sea, the sworn enemy of Florin. Go!
The 4 board a boat.
Once the horse reaches the castle, the fabric will make the prince suspect the Gildarians have abducted his love. When he finds her body, dead on the Gilder frontier, his suspicions will be totally confirmed.
Never said anything about killing anyone.
I've hired you to help me start a war. It's a prestigious line of work, with a long and glorious tradition.
I just don't think it's right, killing an innocent girl.
Am I going mad, or did the word think escape your lips? You were not hired for your brains, you hippopotamic landmass.
I agree with Fezzik.
Oh, the sot has spoken. What happens to her is truly none of your concern. I will kill her. And remember this, never forget this. When I found you, you were so slobbering drunk, you couldn't buy brandy. And you, friendless, brainless, helpless, hopeless, you want me to send you back to where you were, unemployed in Greenland?
That Mazzini, he can fuss.
Fezzik?
Fuss. I think he likes to scream at us.
Probably he means no harm.
He's really very short on charm.
You have a great gift for rhyme.
Yes, some of the time.
Enough of that.
Fezzik, are there rocks ahead?
If there are, we'll all be dead.
No more mimes now, I mean it.
Anybody want a peanut?
Yeah!
Inigo is looking behind the boat frequently.
We'll reach the cliffs by dawn. Why are you doing that?
You sure nobody's follow us?
That would be inconceivable.
Despite what you think, you will be caught, and when you are, the prince will see you all hanged.
Of all the necks on this boat, Highness, the one you should be worried about is your own.
Inigo keeps checking the water.
Stop doing that. We can all relax. It's almost over.
You are sure no one's follow us?
As I told you, it would be absolutely and totally and in all other ways inconceivable. No one in Gilder knows what we've done, and no one in Florence could have gotten here so fast. Out of curiosity, why do you ask?
No reason. Suddenly I just happened to look behind us and something is there.
What? Probably some local fisherman out for a pleasure cruise at night through eel-infested waters.
Buttercup suddenly dives overboard, splash, and starts swimming away.
Go after her.
I don't swim.
Dog paddle.
Ah! Veer left. 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 Do you know what that sound is, Highness? Those are the shrieking eels. If you don't believe me, just wait. They always grow louder when they're about to feed on human flesh. If you swim back now, I promise no harm will come to you. I doubt you'll get such an offer from the eels.
She doesn't get eaten by the eels at this time.
What?
The eel doesn't get her. Now I'm explaining to you because you look nervous.
I wasn't nervous. Well, maybe I was a little bit concerned. But that's not the same thing.
Because we can stop now if you want.
No, you could read a little bit more if you want.
Do you know what that sound is, Highness? Those are the shrieking eels.
We passed that, Grandpa. You read it already.
Oh my goodness, I did. Sorry, beg your pardon. All right. Let's see. She was in the water, the eel was coming after her, and she was frightened. The eel started to charge her, and then...
As it punches the eel and lifts Buttercup from the water.
Put her down. Just put her down.
I think he's getting closer.
He's no concern of ours. Sail on. I suppose you think you're brave, don't you?
Only compared to some.
Look, he's right on top of us. I wonder if he's using the same wind we are using.
Whoever he is, he's too late. See?
The crew approaches an insanely high cliff with a single rope hanging from above.
The cliffs of insanity! Hurry up! Move that thing! And the other thing! Move it!
They reach the shore at the base of the cliff.
We're safe. Only Fezzik is strong enough to go up our way. He'll have to sail around for hours till he reaches the harbor.
Inigo, Vizzini, and Buttercup strap themselves into a harness and cling to Fezzik as he climbs the rope to the top. A man in black docks and begins to climb.
He's climbing the rope. He's leaning on us.
Inconceivable! Faster!
Thought I was going faster.
You were supposed to be this colossus. You were supposed to be this great, legendary thing. And yet, he gains.
Well, I'm carrying 3 people, and he only got himself.
I do not accept excuses. I'm just going to have to find myself a new giant, that's all.
Don't say that, Vizzini, please.
They continue climbing.
Did I make it clear that your job is at stake?
They climb higher and higher and higher and finally reach the top, while the man in black continues upward. Fezzik, Vizzini, and Inigo... Put this thing together. Fezzik, Vizzini, and Inigo pull each other up and look down at the masked man climbing the cliff. Vizzini cuts the rope, and it falls over the edge. Vizzini, Fezzik, and Inigo look over the edge quietly as waves crash below.
Got very good arms.
He didn't fall? Inconceivable.
You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means. My God, he's climbing.
Whoever he is He's obviously seen us with the princess and therefore must die. You, carry her. We'll head straight for the Gilder frontier. Catch up when he's dead. If he falls, fine. If not, the sword.
I'm going to do him left-handed.
You know what a hurry we're in.
It is the only way I can be satisfied. If I use my right, over too quickly.
Oh, have it your way.
Be careful. People in masks cannot be trusted.
I'm waiting.
Vizzini, Fezzik, and Buttercup depart the ruins, leaving Inigo to prepare for the masked band. Inigo shakes his hands out and practices a few lunges.
Hello there! Hello going?
Look, I don't mean to be rude, but this is not as easy as it looks, so I'd appreciate it if you wouldn't distract me.
Sorry?
Thank you.
I do not suppose you could have speed things up.
If you're in such a hurry, I would lower a rope or a tree branch or find something useful to do.
I could do that. I still got some rope up here. But I do not think you would accept my help, since I'm only waiting around to kill you.
That does put a damper on our relationship.
But I promise I will not kill you until you reach the top.
That's very comforting, but I'm afraid you'll just have to wait.
I hate waiting. Is there not any way you'll trust me? I could give you my word as a Spaniard.
No good. I've known too many Spaniards.
Is there not any way you'll trust me?
Nothing comes to mind.
I swear on the soul of my father, Domingo Montoya, you will reach the top alive.
Throw me the rope.
Tosses him the rope. Roberts climbs and reaches the top.
Thank you.
Wait. We'll wait until you are ready.
Again, thank you.
Oh, look at this. God.
I do not mean to pry, but you don't by chance happen to have 6 fingers on your right hand?
Do you always begin conversations this way?
My father was slaughtered by a 6-fingered man.
The man in black holds up a gloved right hand.
Was a great sword maker, my father. When the 6-fingered man appeared and requested a special sword, my father took the job. He slaved a year before it was done.
I've never seen it equal.
6-fingered man returned and demanded it, but at 1/10 his promised price. My father refused. Without a word, the 6-fingered man slashed him through the heart. I loved my father, so naturally I challenged his murder to a duel. I failed. 6-fingered man leave me alive, but he gave me this.
How old were you?
I was 11 years old. When I wasn't strong enough, I dedicated my life to the study of fencing. So the next time we meet, I will not fail. I will go up to the 6-fingered man and say, "Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die."
You've done nothing but study swordplay?
More pursuit than a study lately, you see. I cannot find him. It has been 20 years now, and I am starting to lose confidence. I just work for Vizzini to pay the bills. It's not a lot of money in revenge.
Well, I certainly hope you find him someday.
You are ready then?
Whether I am or not, you've been more than fair.
You seem a decent fellow. I hate to kill you.
You seem a decent fellow. I hate to die.
Begin.
Inigo and Robert shuffle back and forth in the dust.
You are using Bonetti's defense against me, huh?
Rather fitting, considering the rocky terrain.
Naturally, you expect me to attack with Capo Ferro.
Naturally, but I find that difficult Capo Ferro, don't you?
Unless the enemy hasn't studied his Agrippa. Which I have. You are wonderful.
Thank you. I've worked hard to become so.
I admit it, you are better than I am.
Then why are you smiling?
Because I know something you don't know.
And what is that?
I am not left-handed.
You're amazing.
I ought to be after 20 years.
there's something I ought to tell you.
Tell me.
I'm not Lieutenant either.
Swordplay continues. Roberts disarms Inigo with a circling action. Inigo does an impressive flip on a bar nearby. Roberts tosses his sword, does a more impressive flip, and picks up his sword from the dirt. Hand on hip.
Who are you?
No one of consequence.
I must know.
Get used to disappointment.
Okay.
They continue to fight, jabbing between the legs. Then Inigo twinkle toes, tosses his sword, rolls across the rock wall, and catches it. He begins to lose his poise, and then swings his sword in large motions uncontrollably. Roberts grazes his cheek and has him to his knees.
Kill me quickly.
I would as soon destroy a stained glass window as an artist like yourself. However, since I can't have you following me either.
Roberts hits Inigo over the head with the hilt of his sword. Inigo hits the ground out cold.
Please understand, I hold you in the highest respect.
Meanwhile, at the boulders, Vizzini sees the man in black moving towards them.
Inconceivable! Give her to me. Catch up with us quickly.
What do I do?
Finish him! Finish him your way!
Oh, good. My way. Thank you, Vizzini. Which way's my way?
Pick up one of those rocks, get behind the boulder, and in a few minutes, the man in black will come running around the bend. The minute his head is in view, hit it with the rock!
Vizzini disappears with Buttercup.
My way is not very sportsmanlike.
Roberts approaches the boulders, then slows down. A rock disintegrates itself just in front of him. Then he draws his sword.
I did that on purpose. I didn't have to miss.
I believe you. So what happens now?
We face each other, as God intended, sportsmanlike. No tricks, no weapons, skill against skill alone.
You mean you'll put down your rock and I'll put down my sword and we'll try and kill each other like civilized people?
I could kill you now.
Frankly, I think the odds are slightly in your favor at hand fighting.
It's not my fault being the biggest and the strongest. I don't even exercise.
Roberts walks slowly towards Fezzik and attempts to pummel him to no effect.
Look, are you just fiddling around with me or what?
I just want you to feel you're doing well. I hate for you people to die embarrassed.
Roberts dodges a swipe from Fezzik and rolls between his legs.
So quick.
And a good thing, too.
Why are you wearing a mask? Were you burned by acid or something like that?
Oh, no, it's just that they're totally comfortable. I think everyone will be wearing them in the future.
The man in black dodges the giant's swing, then jumps onto his back and grabs him around the neck.
I just figured, why are you giving me so much trouble?
The giant beats the man in black against a large boulder.
Oh, why is that, do you think?
Well, I haven't fought just one person for so long. I've been specializing in groups, battling gangs for local charities, that kind of thing.
Oh, why should that make such a difference?
Well, you see, you use different kind of moves when you're fighting. Half a dozen people than when you only have to be worried about one.
Fezzik drops unconscious to the ground. Roberts rolls him onto his back.
I do not envy you the headache you will have when you awake. But in the meantime, rest well and dream of large women.
Humperdinck is looking at the scuff marks on the ground. Mounted soldiers and Count Rugen are present.
There was a mighty battle, a duel. It ranged all over. They were both masters.
Who won? How did it end?
The loser ran off alone. And the winner followed those footprints.
Shall we track them both? Sorry, shall we track them both?
The loser is nothing. Only the princess matters. Clearly, this was all planned by warriors of Gilder. We must all be ready for whatever lies ahead.
Could this be a trap?
I always think everything could be a trap, which is why I'm still alive.
Humperdinck and his men ride off on horseback. End of Act 1. Act 2. Our performers in Act 2 are Don Gibson, Melissa Meek, Beth Carenti, John Meek, Robin Seaman, Ian Garlinghouse, Steve Duggins, Sam, I know you said it and I didn't hear it, but Whedon Benner, I guess. The Train.
Let's get the train out of the way before we
Oh,
start.
Christian, I don't know how to say your name at all, bro. I've never asked you. I've always just called you Splice. Friend of the show, Splice, Mallory Garlinghouse, and Royce, actually. Vizzini is seated behind a cover table. Buttercup, blindfolded, is sitting to his left. On the table is a bottle of wine and 2 goblets. Roberts approaches the table.
So, it is down to you, and it is down to me. If you wish her dead, by all means, keep moving forward.
Let me explain.
There's nothing to explain. You're trying to kidnap what I have rightfully stolen.
Perhaps an arrangement can be reached?
There will be no arrangement, and you're killing her.
Well, if there can be no arrangement, then we are at an impasse.
I'm afraid so. I can't compete with you physically, and you're no match for my brains.
You're that smart.
Let me put it this way. Have you ever heard of Plato, Aristotle, Socrates?
Yes.
Morons.
Really? In that case, I challenge you to a battle of wits.
For the princess? To the death? I accept.
Good. Then pour the wine.
Vizzini pours 2 goblets of wine. Robert reveals a small vial and uncorks it.
Inhale this, but do not touch.
Okay. I smell nothing.
What you do not smell is called iocane powder. It is odorless, tasteless, dissolves instantly in liquid, and is among the more deadly poisons known to man.
Roberts grabs both goblets and turns away from Vizzini to pour the poison. He replaces them onto the table, feigning confusion.
All right. Where is the poison? The battle of wits has begun. It ends when you decide, and we both drink, and find out who is right and who is dead.
But it's so simple. All I have to do is divine from what I know of you. Are you the sort of man who would put the poison into his own goblet or his enemy's? Now, a clever man would put the poison in his own goblet because he would know that only a great fool would reach for what he was given. I am not a great fool, so I can clearly not choose the wine in front of you. But you must have known I was not a great fool. You would have counted on it, so I can clearly not choose the wine in front of me.
You've made your decision then?
Not remotely, because iocane comes from Australia, as everyone knows, and Australia is entirely peopled with criminals, and criminals are used to having people not trust them, as you are not trusted by me. So I can clearly not choose the wine in front of you.
Clearly you have a dizzying intellect.
Wait till I get going. Where was I?
Australia.
Yes, Australia. And you must have suspected I would have known the origin, so I can clearly not choose the wine in front of me.
You're just stalling now.
You'd like to think that, wouldn't you? You've beaten my giant, which means you're exceptionally strong. So you could have put the poison in your own goblet, trusting in your strength to save you, so I can clearly not choose the wine in front of you. But you've also beaten my Spaniard, which means you must have studied. And in studying, you must have learned that man is mortal, and you would have put the poison as far from yourself as possible, so I can clearly not choose the wine in front of me.
You're trying to trick me into giving something away. It won't work.
It has worked. You've given everything away. I know where the poison is.
Then make your choice.
I will. And I choose. What in the world can that be?
Vizzini points away from the table and then switches goblets.
What? Where? I don't see anything.
Well, I could have sworn I saw something. No matter.
What's so funny?
I'll tell you in a minute. First, let's drink. Me from my glass and you from yours.
They slowly take their goblets, glare at each other, and drink.
You guessed wrong.
You only think I guessed wrong. That's what's so funny. I switched glasses when your back was turned. You fell victim to one of the classic blunders. The most famous is never get involved in a land war in Asia, but only slightly less well known is this: never go in against a Sicilian when death is on the line.
Vizzini stops suddenly and falls over dead and dematerializes. Roberts removes the blindfold from Buttercup's eyes.
It was on.
Who are you?
I am no one to be trifled with. That is all you ever need know.
And to think, all that time it was your cup that was poisoned.
They were both poisoned. I spent the last few years building up an immunity to iocane powder.
Meanwhile, at the boulders, Humperdinck is examining some large boulders.
Someone has beaten a giant. There will be great suffering in Gilder if she dies.
He mounts his horse and rides off with his men. Meanwhile, at the hilltop, Roberts grabs Buttercup's hand as they run along a rocky hilltop. They stop to rest.
Catch your breath.
If you'll release me, whatever you ask for ransom, you'll get it, I promise you.
And what is that worth, the promise of a woman? You're very funny, Highness.
I was giving you a chance. It does not matter where you take me. There is no greater hunter than Prince Humperdinck. He can track a falcon on a cloudy day. He can find you.
You think your dearest love will save you?
I never said he was my dearest love. And yes, he will save me. That I know.
You admit to me that you do not love your fiancé.
He knows I do not love him.
I'm not capable of love is what you mean.
I have loved more deeply than a killer like yourself could ever dream.
That was a warning, Highness. The next time my hand flies on its own from where I come from, there are penalties when a woman lies.
Roberts grabs Buttercup's hand, and they continue running. Meanwhile, the Battle of Wits, Humperdinck sniffs the vial left at Vizzini's table.
Iocane. I'd bet my life on it. And there are the princess's footprints. She's alive. Or was an hour ago. If she is otherwise, when I find her, I shall be very put out.
Roberts and Buttercup rest a second time.
Rest, Highness.
I know who you are. Your cruelty reveals everything. You're the dread Pirate Roberts. Admit it.
Oops, sorry.
Stop bumping me.
Pride. What can I do for you?
You can die slowly, cut into 1,000 pieces.
Hardly complimentary, Your Highness. Why lose your venom on me?
You killed my love.
It's possible. I kill a lot of people. Who is this love of yours? Another prince like this one? Ugly, rich, and scabby?
No, a farm boy. Poor and perfect. With eyes like the sea after a storm. On the high seas, your ship attacked, and the dread Pirate Roberts never takes prisoners.
I can't afford to make exceptions. I mean, once word leaks out that a prince has gone soft, people begin to disobey you, and it's nothing but work, work, work all the time.
You mock my pain.
Life is pain, Highness, Anyone who says differently is selling something. I remember this farm boy of yours, I think. This would be, what, 5 years ago? Does it bother you to hear?
Nothing you can say would upset me.
He died well, that should please you. No bribe attempts or blubbering. He simply said, please, please, I need to live. It was the please that caught my memory. I asked him what was so important for him. True love, he replied. And then he spoke of a girl of surpassing beauty and faithfulness. I can only assume he meant you. You should bless me for destroying him before he found out what you really are.
And what am I?
Faithfulness, he talked of, madam. Your enduring faithfulness. Now tell me truly, when you found out he was gone, did you get engaged to your prince that same hour, or did you wait a whole week out of respect for the dead?
You mocked me once. Never do it again. I died that day.
Robert sees horses at the top of the hill in the distance behind them.
And you can die too, for all I care.
She pushes Roberts down a very steep hill.
As you wish. Oh, I'm going this way.
Oh, my sweet Leslie. Oh, my sweet Leslie. What have I done?
Buttercup jumps down the hill, rolling after him.
We have a rolling family.
I'm derobing.
Humperdinck soldiers are mounted.
I'm mounted.
Okay, where are we? Sorry. I got discombobulated rolling down the hill.
I think you got your thing.
They've disappeared. He must have seen us closing in. It might account for his panicking into error. Unless I am wrong, and I am never wrong, they are headed dead into the fire swamp.
Roberts loses his mask on the roll downward. He and Buttercup lay in the gully below.
Can you move at all?
Move? You're alive. If you want, I can fly.
Wesley and Buttercup hug each other.
I told you I'd always come for you. Why didn't you wait for me?
Well, you were dead.
Death cannot stop true love. All it can do is delay it for a while.
I will never doubt again.
There will never be a need.
They kiss.
Ah, no, please.
What is it? What's the matter?
They're kissing again. Do we have to hear this kissing part?
Someday. You may not mind so much.
Skip to the fire swamp. That sounds good.
Oh, your sandwich.
Oh, you're sick. I'll humor you. So now, where were we? Oh, yeah. Wesley and Buttercup raced along the ravine floor.
Ahead looms the dark of the fire swamp as Wesley and Buttercup run.
Ha! Your pig fiancé is too late. A few more steps and we'll be safe in the fire swamp.
We'll never survive.
Nonsense. You're only saying that because no one ever has.
Disturbing creature sounds are heard as Buttercup and Wesley slowly approach the swamp.
Wow. It's not that bad. Well, I'm not saying I'd like to build a summer home here, but the trees are actually quite nice.
The sound of a tree falling can be heard. Wesley looks at Buttercup, doubting him. They walk. There is a series of thumping sounds approaching Buttercup. A flame spout appears beside her. Her gown catches fire, but Wesley smothers it.
Oh, sorry. Well, now, that was an adventure. Singed a bit, were you?
You?
Wesley shakes his head. Another flame spout appears near Buttercup. Wesley lifts her away.
Okay. Well, one thing I will say, the fire swamp certainly does keep you on your toes.
They continue walking. Wesley clears vines from the path with his sword.
This will all soon be but a happy memory. Robert took revenge, and I came at the far end. And I, as you know, am Roberts.
But how is that possible, since he's been marauding 20 years, and you only left me 5 years ago?
I myself am often surprised at life's little quirks.
Popping sounds rumble. And then another flame spout appears as Wesley lifts Buttercup away again.
See, what I told you before about saying please was true. It intrigued Roberts, as did my descriptions of your beauty. Finally, Roberts decided something. He said, "All right, Wesley, I've never had a valet. You could try if you like. I'll most likely kill you in the morning." 3 years he said that. Good night, Wesley. Good work. Sleep well. I'll most likely kill you in the morning. It was a fine time for me. I was learning to fence, to fight, anything anyone would teach me. And Roberts and I eventually became friends. And then it happened.
What? Go on.
Well, Roberts had grown so rich he wanted to retire. He took me to his cabin and he told me a secret. Oh. I'm not the Dread Pirate Roberts, he said. My name is Ryan. I inherited the ship from the previous Dread Pirate Roberts, just as you will inherit from me. The man I inherited from was not the real Dread Pirate Roberts either. His name was Cumberbund. The real Roberts has been retired 15 years and living like a king in Patagonia. Then he explained that the name was the important thing for inspiring the necessary fear. You see, no one would surrender to a Dread Pirate Wesley. So we sailed ashore, took on an entirely new crew, and stayed aboard for a while as his first mate, all the time calling me Roberts. Once the crew believed, he left the ship, and I have been Roberts ever since. Except now that we're together, I shall retire and hand the name over to someone else. Is everything clear to you?
Buttercup steps into a patch of lightning sand and promptly disappears. Wesley cuts a vine and dives in after her. They are motionless under the lightning sand for several moments. A large rodent approaches, sniffs, and passes by. They finally emerge. Wesley embraces Buttercup as they continue gasping. He notices the large rodent snarling over her shoulder.
We'll never succeed. We may as well die here.
No. We have already succeeded. I mean, what are the 3 terrors of the fire swamp? 1, the flame spurt. No problem. There's a popping sound preceding each. We can avoid that. 2, the lightning sand. But you were clever enough to discover what that looks like, so in the future we can avoid that too.
Wesley, what about the ROUSs?
Rodents of unusual size? I don't think they exist.
A large rodent of unusual size appears, pounces on Wesley, and bites his arm. Wesley punches the rodent and tries to grab his sword unsuccessfully. He tries to keep the rodent's teeth from biting him.
Where is my sword?
Wesley rolls with the RUS. A flame spurt appears, finally igniting the rodent's fur. Wesley grabs his sword and stabs it.
Oh, is that so terrible?
Hey, I did green screen.
They start in for a kiss, and as the sound of horses approaching interrupts, Humperdinck, Rook, and many soldiers ride up.
Surrender!
You mean you wish to surrender to me? Very well, I accept.
I give you full marks for bravery. Don't make yourself a fool.
Ah, but how will you capture us? We know the secrets of the fire swamp. We can live there quite happily for some time, so whenever you feel like dying, feel free to visit.
Buttercup notices they are surrounded by armed soldiers.
I tell you once again, surrender.
It will not happen.
For the last time, surrender.
Death first!
Will you promise not to hurt him?
What was that?
What was that?
If we surrender and I return with you, will you promise not to hurt this man?
May I live 1,000 years and never hunt again.
He is a sailor on the pirate ship Revenge. Promise to return him to his ship.
I swear it will be done.
I swear it will be done.
I thought you were dead once, and it almost destroyed me. I could not bear it if you died again, not when I could save you.
Humperdinck grabs Buttercup, and they ride away.
Sir, we must get you to your ship.
We are men of action. Lies do not become us.
Well spoken, sir.
Wesley notices Rugen's six-fingered gloved hand.
Impressive.
What is it?
You have 6 fingers on your right hand. Someone was looking for you.
Rugen knocks Wesley out cold on the head. In the pit of despair, an albino enters a deep cavern carrying a tray to Wesley, who is strapped to a table in front of a large water wheel machine consisting of levers and pumps. The albino tends to Wesley's wounds with a bowl of water and a rag.
Where am I?
The pit of despair. Don't even think of trying to escape. The chains are far too thick, and don't dream of being rescued either. The only way is in secret, and only the prince, the count, and I know how to get in and out.
Then I'm here till I die?
Till they kill you, yeah.
He continues tending to Wesley's wound.
Then why bother curing me?
The prince and the count always insist on everyone being healthy before they're broken.
So it's to be torture then. I can cope with torture. Don't believe me?
You survived the fire swamp. You must be very brave. But nobody withstands the machine.
In the castle room, Humperdinck observes a melancholy Buttercup walking the castle corridors.
She's been like that ever since the fire swamp. It's my father's failing health that's upsetting her.
Of course.
The king died that very night, and before the following dawn, Buttercup and Humperdinck were married, and at noon she met her subjects again, this time as their queen.
You need to get your cape on at least.
I can't.
Oh my. In Florin, Humperdinck addresses the townspeople from the balcony.
My father's final words were...
Hold it, Grandpa. You read that wrong. She doesn't marry Humperdinck. She marries Wesley. I'm just sure of it. After all that Wesley's done for her, if she didn't marry him, it wouldn't be fair.
Well, who says life is fair? Where is that written? Life isn't always fair.
I'm telling you, you're messing up the story. Now get it right.
Do you want me to go on with this?
Yes.
All right then, no more interruptions. At noon, she met her subjects again, this time as her queen.
My father's final words were, love her as I loved her, and there will be joy. I present to you your queen, Queen Buttercup.
Boo! Boo! Boo!
Why do you do this?
Because you had love in your hands and you gave it up.
But they would have killed Wesley if I hadn't done it.
Your true love lives and you marry another. Her true love saved her in the fire swamp and she treated it like garbage. That's what she is, the queen of garbage. So bow to the queen of garbage. Bow if you want. The queen of slime, the queen of filth. Bow to her. Boo! Boo! Filth, rubbish, slime, muck. Boo! Boo! Boo!
In the Honeymoon Suite, Buttercup awakens abruptly in her room.
It was 10 days till the wedding. The king still lived, but Buttercup's nightmares were growing steadily worse.
See, didn't I tell you she'd never marry that rotten Humperdinck?
Yes, you're very smart. Shut up.
Buttercup races through the castle corridors to Humperdinck.
It comes to this. I love Wesley. I always have. I know now I always will. If you tell me I must marry you in 10 days, please believe I will be dead by morning.
I could never cause you grief. Consider our wedding off. You, returned this Wesley to his ship?
Yes.
Then we will simply alert him. Beloved, are you certain he still wants you? After all, it was you who did the leaving in the fire swamp. Not to mention that pirates are not known to be men of their words.
My Wesley will always come for me.
Humperdinck slowly paces the room, thinking.
I suggest a deal. You write 4 copies of a letter. I'll send my 4 fastest ships, 1 in each direction. The dread pirate Roberts is always close to Florin this time of year. We'll run up the white flag and deliver your message. If Wesley wants you, bless you both. If not, please consider me as an alternative to suicide. Are we agreed?
Yes.
In the secret knot, Count Rugen and Prince Humperdinck walk toward a clearing in the forest surrounded by large, knotty trees. They're naughty.
Your princess is really quite a winning creature. A trifle simple, perhaps, but her appeal is undeniable.
Oh, I know. The people are quite taken with her. It's odd, but when I hired Vincini to have her murdered on our engagement day, I thought that was clever. But it's going to be so much more moving when I strangle her on our wedding night. Once Gilder is blamed, the nation will be truly outraged. They'll demand we go to war.
Now, where is that secret knot? It's impossible to find. Ah, are you coming down into the pit? Wesley's got his strength back. I'm starting him on the machine tonight.
Tyrone, you know how much I love watching you work. But I've got my country's 500th anniversary to plan, my wedding to arrange, my wife to murder, and Gilder to frame for it. I'm swamped.
Get some rest. If you haven't got your health, you haven't got anything.
At the Pit of Despair machine, the albino rolls Wesley in and hooks him up to the machine.
My face is gonna be so messed up.
Yes.
Beautiful, isn't it? Took me half a lifetime to invent it. I'm sure you've discovered my deep and abiding interest in pain. At present, I'm writing the definitive work on the subject. So I want you to be totally honest with me on how the machine makes you feel. This being our first try, I'll use the lowest setting.
Rugen moves a lever from 0 to 1. Water starts flowing, powering the machine.
As you know, the concept of the suction pump is centuries old. Well, really, that's all this is, except that instead of sucking water, I'm sucking life. I've just sucked 1 year of your life away. I might one day go as high as 5, but I really don't know what that would do to you. So let's just start with what we have. What did this do to you? Tell me. And remember, this is for posterity. So please be honest. How do you feel? Interesting.
In Humperdinck's office, Humperdinck is studying maps at his desk. Yellen enters.
Yellen.
Sire.
Humperdinck motions to Yellen to join his side.
As chief enforcer of all foreign, I trust you with this secret. Killers from Gilder are infiltrating the thieves' forest and plan to murder my bride on our wedding night.
My spy network has heard no such news.
Buttercup appears at the door.
Any word from Wesley?
Too soon, my angel. Patience.
He will come for me.
Of course.
Buttercup walks away down the corridor.
She will not be murdered. On the day of the wedding, I want the thieves' forest emptied and every inhabitant arrested.
Many of the thieves will resist. My regular enforcers will be inadequate.
Form a brute squad, then. I want the thieves' forest emptied before I wed.
It won't be easy, sire.
Try ruling the world sometime.
End of Act 2. The Princess Bride, Act 3. Our performers in Act 3 are Beth Correnti, Melissa Meek, Barry Gibson, Robin Seaman, Ian Garlinghouse, Steve Duggins, Chad Garlinghouse, Sam Weidenbender, Kathy Duggins, Nestor Nissen, Heather Nissen, Royce Ashley, Wade Tanner, Hannah Tuggy, and Christian Satskowski. Of course, I messed up your first name, Christian, after asking how to pronounce your last name. Anyway, our scene is the Thieves' Forest. The Brute Squad is moving in and about huts. Yellen is driving a horse-drawn cart full of captured thieves.
The day of the wedding arrived. The Brute Squad had their hands full carrying out Humperdinck's orders.
Is everybody out? Almost. There's this man, you're giving us some trouble. Well, you give him some trouble. Move!
A drunken Inigo is leaning against the wall of a hut, nursing a bottle.
All right, let me just open this bottle and I'll drink the neck it off. I'm totally drunk after drinking the neck of a beer. I'm still waiting for you, Vicini. You told me to go back to the beginning. So I am. This is where I am. This is where I will stay. I will not be moved.
Ho there!
I do not budge. You keep your hoe there.
But the prince gave orders.
So did Vicini. When the job went wrong, he went back to the beginning. So this is where we did the job. So it's the beginning. I am saying till Vicini come.
You, brute, come here.
I'm waiting for Vicini.
You surely are a meanie.
What? Huh?
Hello.
It's you!
Ooh.
The assistant brute begins to attack, but Fezzik punches him to the ground.
You don't look so good. You don't smell so good either.
Perhaps no, but I feel fine.
Yeah?
Inigo falls to the ground. Inside the hut, Fezzik is feeding Inigo soup at a table.
Fezzik and Inigo were reunited, and as Fezzik nursed his inebriated friend back to health, he told Inigo of Vizzini's death and the existence of Count Rugen, the six-fingered man. Considering Inigo's lifelong search, he handled the news surprisingly well.
Inigo rolls his eyes back and falls headfirst into the bowl.
Fezzik took great care in reviving Inigo.
Fezzik dunks Inigo's head between two large vats of water.
That's enough! That's enough! Where is this Rugen now? So I may kill him!
He's with the prince in the castle, but the castle gate is guarded by 30 men.
How many can you handle?
I don't think more than 10.
Leaving 20 for me. At my best, I could never defeat that many. We need Vicini to plan. I have no gift for strategy.
But Vicini's dead.
No, not Vicini. I need the man in black.
What?
Look, he bested you with strength, your greatness. He bested me with steel. He must have out-thought Vicini. And a man who can do that can plan my castle onslaught any day. Let's go.
Where?
To find the man in black, obviously.
But we don't know where he is.
Don't bother me with trifles. After 20 years, at last my father's soul will be at peace. There will be blood tonight.
In Humperdinck's office, Yellen enters. Humperdinck is sharpening a dagger over a rock.
Rise and report.
Thieves' force is emptied. 30 men guard the castle gate.
Double it. My princess must be safe.
The gate has but one key, and I carry that.
Buttercup enters the room.
Oh, my Dulcet darling, tonight we marry. Tomorrow morning, your men will escort us to Florin Channel, where every ship in my armada waits to accompany us on our honeymoon.
Every ship but your 4 fastest, you mean?
Of course. Naturally not those 4.
Your Majesty.
Yellen leaves the room.
You never sent the ships. Don't bother lying. Doesn't matter. Wesley will come for me anyway.
You're a silly girl.
Yes, I am a silly girl, for not having seen sooner that you are nothing but a coward with a heart full of fear.
I would not say such things if I were you.
Why not? You can't hurt me. Wesley and I are joined by the bonds of love, and you cannot track that, not with 1,000 bloodhounds, and you cannot break it, not with 1,000 swords. And when I say you are a coward, that is only because you are the slimiest weakling ever to crawl the earth.
I would not say such things if I were you.
Humperdinck rushes Buttercup to the honeymoon suite and locks her in.
No!
Humperdinck rushes down to the pit of despair to confront Wesley.
You truly love each other, and you might have been truly happy. Not one couple in a century has that chance, no matter what the storybooks say. So I think no man in a century will suffer as greatly as you will.
Humperdinck takes the control of the machine and puts it to the highest possible setting. I can't watch.
Not to 50!
Physic! Listen! Do you hear? That is the sound of ultimate suffering. My heart made that sound when Rugen slaughtered my father. The man in black makes it now.
The man in black?
His true love is marrying another tonight. So who else would have the reason for ultimate suffering?
They start moving through a large crowd.
Excuse me, pardon me. It's important. Physic, please.
Everybody move!
Thank you.
The crowd parts instantly. Oh! In the secret knot, Inigo and Fezzik stop the albino, who's pushing a wheelbarrow. Inigo has the albino at sword point.
Where is the man in black? You get that from this grove, yes? Fezzik, jog his memory.
Fezzik jogs the albino in the head and he falls to the ground out cold. Inigo steps aside.
I am sorry, Indigo. I did not mean to jog him so hard. Indigo?
Father, I have failed you for 20 years. Now our misery can end somewhere. Somewhere close by is a man who can help us. I couldn't find him alone. I need you. I need you to guide my sword. Please, guide my sword.
Inigo stumbles around slowly, led by the sword until it suddenly hits a tree. Inigo leans against the tree, feeling defeated. He gives up as he presses the hidden knot with his elbow. The tree opens, and they proceed into the pit of despair.
Just not fair.
He's dead.
And that's also just not fair.
Grandpa, wait. Did Viziki mean he's dead? I mean, he didn't mean he's dead. Wesley's faking it, right?
You want me to read this or not?
Who gets Humperdinck?
I don't understand.
Who kills Prince Humperdinck? At the end, somebody's got to do it. Is it Indigo? Who?
Nobody. Nobody kills him. He lives.
You mean he wins? Jesus, Grandpa. What did you read me this thing for?
You know, you've been very sick, and you're taking this story very seriously. I think we ought to stop now.
No, I'm okay. Sit down. I'm all right.
Okay. All right. Now let's see. Where were we? Oh, yes. In the pit of despair.
The Montoyas have never taken defeat easily. Come along, Fezzik. Bring the body.
The body?
Do you have any money?
I have a little.
I just hope it's enough to buy a miracle, that's all.
Inigo knocks on the door of a nearby hut.
Go away!
A face appears through the door window.
What?
Are you the miracle, Max, that worked for the king all those years?
The king's stinking son fired me. And thank you so much for bringing up such a painful memory. While you're at it, why don't you give me a nice paper cut and pour some lemon juice on it? We're closed!
He closes the window. Inigo knocks again.
Go away. I'll call the brute squad.
I'm on the brute squad.
You are the brute squad, yeah.
Hey, we need a miracle. It's a very important.
Look, I'm retired. And besides, why would you want to hire someone whose king's stinking son fired? I might kill whoever you wanted me to miracle.
He's already dead.
He is, huh? Okay. I'll take a look. Bring him in.
They enter. Inigo lays Wesley's body out on the table. Miracle Max examines the body, lifting Wesley's arm, which falls hard.
I've seen worse.
Sir.
Ah?
We're in a terrible rush.
Don't rush me, Sonny. You rush a miracle man, you get rotten miracles. You got money?
65.
Eesh. I never worked for so little. Except for once, and that was a very noble cause.
Oh, this is noble, sir. His wife is crippled, and the children are on the brink of starvation.
Are you a rotten liar?
Need him to help me avenge my father, murdered after these 20 years.
Your first story was better. Where's those billows crammed? Yeah. He probably owes you money, huh? Well, I'll ask him.
Well, he's dead. He can talk.
Oh, look knows so much, huh? Well, it only happens that your friend here is mostly dead. There's a big difference between mostly dead and all dead. Please, open his mouth.
Inigo opens Wesley's mouth. Miracle Max inserts the bellows and proceeds to pump air into his body.
Now, with mostly dead, you're also slightly alive. And all dead, there's usually only one thing you can do.
And what's that?
You go through his clothes and look for loose change. Hey! Hello in there. Hey! What you got worth living for?
Miracle Max pushes slowly on Wesley's chest.
True love. You heard him. You could not ask for a more noble cause than that.
Yeah, you're right. True love is the most beautiful thing in the world. except for a nice MLT. A mutton, lettuce, and tomato sandwich when the mutton is nice and lean and the tomatoes are ripe. So perky. I love that. But that's not what he said. He distinctly said to blave, and to blave, as we all know, means to bluff. Yeah, so you were probably playing cards, and he cheated, and...
Liar!
Liar! Yeah, get back, witch!
I'm not a witch. I'm your wife. And after what you just said, I'm not sure if I want to be that anymore.
Not another word, Valerie.
True love, Max. He said true love.
You never had it so good.
He's afraid. Ever since Prince Humperdinck fired him, his confidence is shattered.
You know, why'd you say the name? You promised me you'd never say that name.
What? Humperdinck?
Ah!
Humperdinck.
Ah!
Humperdinck.
Ah!
Humperdinck. 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 Humperdinck.
And I'm not listening to you.
Our lives expiring and you don't have the decency to say why you won't help. Humperdinck.
Ah!
Humperdinck. 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 Humperdinck.
This is Buttercup's true love. If you give, he will stop Humperdinck's wedding.
Hey, wait, what? I make him better. Humperdinck suffers.
Humiliation galore.
Now that is a noble cause. Give me 65. I'm on the job.
Max holds the pill between two sticks as Valerie coats it with chocolate.
That's the miracle pill?
Yeah. The chocolate makes it go down easier. But you have to wait 15 minutes for full potency. And you shouldn't go in swimming for at least what?
An hour.
An hour, yeah.
A good hour.
Okay. Thank you for everything.
Okay.
Bye-bye, boys.
Have fun storming the castle.
Think it'll work?
It'll take a miracle.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Atop a battlement, Inigo carries Wesley. Fezzik follows as they stumble amongst each other, overlooking rows of soldiers standing in front of the castle gate.
Inigo, there's more than 30.
What's the difference? We've got him.
Inigo holds up Wesley's unconscious head, which falls over.
Help here. We have to force feed him.
Has it been 15 minutes?
We can't wait. The wedding's in half an hour. We must strike in the hustle and bustle beforehand. Tilt his head back. Open his mouth.
Fezzik holds Wesley's head and opens his mouth as Inigo slips the pill in.
How long do we have to wait before we know the miracle works?
Your guess is as good as mine.
I'll beat you to a pot. I'll take you both together, and this pill is really good.
Fezzik covers Wesley's mouth with his hand.
I guess not very long.
Why won't my arms move?
You've been mostly dead all day.
We had a Miracle Max make you a pill to bring you back.
Who are you? Are we enemies? Why am I on this wall? Where's Buttercup?
Let me explain. No, there is too much. Let me sum up. Buttercup is to marry Humperdinck in little less than half an hour. So all we have to do is get in, break up the wedding, steal the princess, make our escape after I kill Count Rogan.
Wesley wiggles his finger against his chest.
That doesn't leave much time for dilly-dallying.
You just wiggled your finger. That's wonderful.
I've always been a quick healer. What are our liabilities?
There is but one working castle gate, and it's guarded by 60 men.
And our assets?
Your brain, Fezzik's strength, and my steel.
That's it? Impossible. If I had a month to plan, maybe I could come up with something, but this...
You just shook your head. That doesn't make you happy.
My brains, his steel, and your strength against 60 men, and you think a little head jiggle is supposed to make me happy? I mean, if we only had a wheelbarrow, now that would be something.
Fezzik, where did we put that wheelbarrow that we had with the albino?
With the albino, I think.
Why didn't you list that among our assets in the first place? What I wouldn't give for a Holocaust cloak.
Well, yeah, there we cannot help you.
Fezzik pulls a cloak from his shirt.
Would this do?
Where did you get that?
At Miracle Max. It fits so nice, he said I could keep it.
All right, come on, help me up.
They gather Wesley to his feet.
Now, I'll need a sword eventually.
Why, you cannot even lift one.
True, but that's hardly common knowledge, is it? Thank you. Now, there may be a problem once we're inside.
I'll say, namely, how do I find the Count? Once I do, how do I find you again? And once I find you again, how do I escape?
Don't pester him. He's had a hard day.
Right. Sorry.
Fezzik nods Wesley's head for him.
Inigo?
What?
I hope we win.
The trio continues sneaking along the battlement. In the honeymoon suite, Humperdinck helps Buttercup prepare for the wedding.
Don't seem excited, my little Muffet.
Should I be?
Brides often are, I'm told.
I do not marry tonight. My Wesley will save me.
Nightfall at the castle gate. A church organ can be heard quietly inside the chapel. Again, atop the battlement, Wesley, Inigo, and Fezzik peer down and stack hands, ready to unleash their plan.
Marriage is what brings us together today. A blessed arrangement that dream within a dream.
Stand your ground, men! Stand your ground!
And the palace guards murmur as a dark-cloaked figure approaches the gate.
Stand your ground!
I am the dread pirate Roberts. There will be no survivors.
No!
Not yet.
Many are here. I am here. But soon, you will not be here.
Inigo struggles to push Fezzik in the wheelbarrow while dragging Wesley behind him.
No!
Light him.
The cloak bursts into flames.
The dread pirate Roberts takes no survivors. All your worst nightmares are about to come true.
The wedding ceremony continues. Humperdinck signals to Rugen, who departs with his men.
And love, true love, will follow you forever.
The dread pirate Roberts is here for your soul.
Stay where you are! Fight! Stay where you are!
Yellen slowly becomes abandoned by his men at the gate as Fezzik approaches in flames.
Just open the window.
Show your love.
Skip to the end.
Have you the wing?
Humperdinck prepares to place the ring onto Buttercup's finger.
Here comes my Wesley now.
Fezzik, the portcullis.
Fezzik removes his cloak, catches the gate, and lifts it above his head.
Yeah!
Your Wesley is dead. I killed him myself.
Then why is there fear behind your eyes?
Give us the gate key.
I have no gate key.
Fezzik, tear his arms off.
Oh, you mean this gate key?
And do you, Princess Buttercup?
Man and wife. Say man and wife.
Man and wife.
Escort the bride to the honeymoon suite. I'll be there shortly.
He didn't come.
In a castle corridor, Rugen and soldiers run through the castle to find Wesley, Inigo, and Fezzik, who are seen slowly sneaking around the corridors. Rugen finally meets Inigo.
Kill the Dark One and the Giant, but leave the third for questioning.
Inigo fights off every soldier with some impressive swordplay.
Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Rugen prepares to fight, but runs away behind a locked door, followed by Inigo. Inigo beats on the locked door. Wesley upright.
I can't leave him alone.
Fezzik wraps Wesley's limp arms around a suit of armor in the corridor.
I'll be right back.
Thank you.
Inigo struggles the door. Fezzik comes and breaks it down. In the castle corridor, the king and queen escort Buttercup to the honeymoon suite.
Strange wedding. Yes, a very strange wedding. Come along.
Buttercup gently kisses the king on the cheek.
What was that for?
Because you've always been so kind to me, and I won't be seeing you again, since I'm killing myself once we reach the honeymoon suite.
Wouldn't that be nice? She kissed me.
Rugen and Inigo continue chasing each other through corridors, in and out of doorways and hallways. Fezzik returns to find that Wesley has vanished. Rugen pulls a dagger from his boot and tosses it suddenly into Inigo's stomach.
I'm sorry, Father. I tried.
You must be that little Spanish brat I taught the lessons to all those years ago. Simply incredible. Have you been chasing me your whole life, only to fail now? I think that's the worst thing I've ever heard. How marvelous.
Inigo falls to the floor. Buttercup enters the honeymoon suite sadly, takes a seat, and opens a box containing a dagger. She lifts it to her chest, slowly.
There's a shortage of perfect breasts in this world. It would be a pity to damage yours.
Wesley, oh Wesley, darling.
Buttercup runs to the bed and kisses Wesley madly.
Where's the bed?
Wesley, why won't you hold me?
Gently.
At a time like this, that's all you can think to say? Gently?
Gently.
Ugh. Downstairs, Inigo pulls the dagger from his side and struggles to stand.
Good heavens, are you still trying to win? You've got an overdeveloped sense of vengeance. It's going to get you into trouble someday.
Ruben stabs Inigo. He stabs him a second time as Inigo attempts to defend. He suddenly stands up and blocks.
Hello, my name is Inigo. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Stop saying that.
Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
No!
There it is. Offer me money.
Yes!
Power too. Promise me that.
All that I have and more, please.
Offer me everything I ask for.
Anything you want.
I want my father back, you son of a bitch.
Inigo kills Rugen, who falls to the floor. Inigo runs back down the corridor.
Oh, Wesley, will you ever forgive me?
What hideous sin have you committed lately?
I got married. I didn't want to. It all happened so fast.
Never happened.
What?
Never happened.
But it did. I was there. This old man said man and wife.
Did you say I do?
No. We sort of skipped that part.
Then you're not married. If you didn't say it, you didn't do it. Wouldn't you agree, Your Highness?
A technicality that will shortly be remedied. But first things first. To the death.
No! To the pain.
I don't think I'm quite familiar with that phrase.
I'll explain, and I'll use small words so that you'll be sure to understand, you war-top-faced buffoon.
That may be the first time in my life a man has dared insult me.
It won't be the last. To the pain means the first thing you will lose will be your feet below the ankles, then your hands at the wrists, and next your nose.
And then my tongue, I suppose. I killed you too quickly the last time. A mistake I don't mean to duplicate tonight.
I wasn't finished. The next thing you will lose will be your left eye, followed by your right.
And then my ears. I understand. Let's get on with it.
Wrong! Your ears you keep, and I'll tell you why. So that every shriek of every child at seeing your hideousness will be yours to cherish. Every babe that weeps at your approach, every woman who cries out, "Dear God, what is that thing?" will echo in your perfect ears. That is what to the pain means. It means I leave you in anguish, wallowing in freakish misery forever.
I think you're bluffing.
It's possible, pig. I might be bluffing. It's conceivable, you miserable vomitous mass. I'm only lying here because I lack the strength to stand. But again, perhaps I have the strength after all. Drop your sword.
Humperdinck drops his sword to the ground.
Have a seat. Tie him up. Make it as tight as you like.
Buttercup ties up Humperdinck to the chair.
Where's Fezzik?
I thought he was with you.
No.
In that case,
Help him.
Why does Wesley need helping?
Because he has no strength.
I knew it. I knew you were bluffing. I knew he was bluffing.
Shall I dispense him for you?
Thank you, but no. Whatever happens to us, I want you to live a long life alone with his cowardice.
Inigo! Inigo! Where are you?
At the open window, Wesley, Buttercup, and Inigo find a nearby window and open it. Maybe I should have read that line first before improvising the introduction. At any rate, they're at the window. They open it to see Fezzik down below.
Oh, there you are. Inigo, I saw the prince's stable. And there they were, 4 white horses. And I thought, there are 4 of us. If we were to find a lady, hello, lady.
Buttercup returns a wave.
So I took them with me, in case we ever bumped into each other. I guess we just did.
Fezzik, you did something right.
Don't worry, I won't let it go to my head.
Buttercup jumps from the window. Fezzik catches her. Wesley gestures to Inigo to jump first.
You know, it is very strange. I have been in the revenge business so long. Now that it is over, I don't know what to do with the rest of my life.
Have you ever considered piracy? You'd make a wonderful good pirate rockets.
The 4 of them ride away from the castle on 4 white horses into the horizon.
They rode to freedom. And as dawn arose, Wesley and Buttercup knew they were safe. A wave of love swept over them. And as they reached for each other...
Hey, wait.
What? Nah, it's kissing. Again, you don't want to hear that.
Well, I don't mind so much.
Okay. Since the invention of the kiss, there have been 5 kisses that were rated the most passionate, the most pure. This one left them all behind. The end. Now, I think you ought to go to sleep.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Bye.
Grandpa? Maybe you could come over and read it to me again tomorrow.
As you wish.
The end.
We made it through.
Hooray, hooray.
Good job, everybody.
Sorry about the alarms.
That was awesome.